Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to another episode of the Nest Podcast. This is episode 47, the Tom Glavine episode presented by Sportszilla. I'm your host, Brandon, and joining me this week is Justin from Into the Woods. What's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir. What's going on, guys?
It's just me today. Zach's not here, so it's just gonna be us kind of bullshitting and talking some sports and just talking about whatever's going on in life. I know we
Sounds
were
good.
talking before we came on, and you've got a busy week coming up. You're going to the beach with your family and all that. Zach is on a trip right now. That's why he can't be with us this week. So it's the summer months. Everybody's traveling. Everybody's going somewhere.
Yeah, where exactly is that going? I heard you said like over the pond.
Oh no, the Red Sox and the Yankees are going over the pond.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you.
Zach Zach's going to Cleveland.
Oh, that's not
So
nearly as cool.
no, no, no. The Red Sox and Yankees are going to London to play 2 games this weekend, which is kind of a big deal for us, being that we talk a lot of baseball and stuff. So that's pretty neat that they're actually playing there. It's the first MLB game ever in London. I don't know if you've kept up with it at all or not, but
I have a little bit. So, what's the time zone? Like, what time are they playing?
well, for us, for our audience, it'll be 1:00 p.m. on Sunday and 10:00 a.m. on. Oh no, I'm sorry, 1:00 p.m. on Saturday and 10:00 on Sunday. 10:00 a.m. Sunday.
They ain't too bad though.
No, it's pretty reasonable, pretty good times. You just wake up, eat breakfast, and then the game's coming on.
That's probably kind of our West Coast has to deal with NFL football.
I lived on the West Coast for 4 years in San Diego, and I absolutely loved watching football on the West Coast. Because
I'm
like you said, you would wake up, maybe wake up, smash some Gatorade to try to kill off the hangover, turn on the TV, and the game's coming on. You got the pregame shows starting at about 8:00.
That's cool. I'd rather have that because if your team's playing at like say 4, it basically ruins your whole day or you miss the game. But if you're on the West Coast, you ain't got to really worry about that, especially for the 1 o'clock games.
Yeah, I mean it's brilliant. I loved it. Saturday and Sunday both, because you could watch college and pro. And then here's another kicker. What time does like Sunday night football come on here in the States
Like 8:30.
or on the East Coast? 8:30, 9:00, the game's really starting to get going. On the West Coast, that's 6:00. You're just sitting down to dinner and the game's on.
Yeah, that's cool. It's weird
It,
to think about.
it's so easy to basically drink all day long and still go to bed at a reasonable hour and get up to go to work the next day.
It's weird too if you think about like primetime TV. It starts at 8 o'clock, like Eastern time. So they're watching all these shows at like 5. Like, what do they watch at primetime?
A lot of channels, a lot of stations were on a delay. So what you would see at 7:00 would air at 7:00 on the West Coast
Oh,
too. For example, like I watched Monday Night Raw sometimes whenever I was living in San Diego. I kind of got into it for a while, went to the WrestleMania that was out there in California and all that stuff. But I wouldn't get to see Monday Night Raw until Monday Night Raw was already over, if
I
that
get
makes
it.
sense.
So people could spoil it for you.
Yeah, like I would know what happened if I was, on Facebook or whatever, or I could wait and just watch it myself. That's essentially why I started getting out of wanting to watch it, because it was always on Facebook before it happened.
That's
But
crazy. It just goes to show that everything has like a pro and a con.
yeah, yeah, it really does. But you could get other packages or whatever so that you could see the East Coast feeds of those channels.
Yeah,
It was like an upgrade to your cable service.
of course.
But
Everything's
I,
an upgrade.
at the time when I was really into it, I didn't mind it as much because I was working all day, and then I had, like I would go to the gym or whatever after work, and then I would go to dinner. So by the time I was done with all that and shower and all that, it was basically time for it to come on anyway. I kept myself pretty busy when I lived out west.
I'm sure there's probably a lot more to do out there, and they got way better weather. Better weather. I can't talk.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't beat 80 degrees with a breeze every day.
And hardly no rain.
Yeah, no rain, but it's not humid, it's not I don't know. It's dry, but it's not too dry, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it's been very humid here.
It's been really humid here. God, I live in Florida.
Yeah, I'd say that's what I'll get starting tomorrow.
Oh yeah, South Carolina will be about the same.
Yeah, at least you got some kind of a breeze, coming from the ocean. Well, I don't know where you live, but
I'm more inland, so I don't really get any of that. Where I work, I get a lot of that breeze and stuff. It's always about 5 or 6 degrees cooler out there than it is where I live.
that makes a big difference. How far
Oh,
away
yeah.
do you live from the beach?
About 40 minutes or so.
Dude, that's so cool. Oh,
It's all right, I guess. Like I never go to the beach. Um, since I've lived in Florida, I've been to the beach 3 or 4 times.
it's because it's there. Like I'm going for vacation, so I'm looking forward to it. But like the lakes here, and that's the bad example for me. I'm always at the lake because I fish. But if I wasn't fishing, I would never go to the lake.
See, I would prefer a lake because I hate sand.
Yeah, I don't like sand much either.
I living in the desert for 2+ years of my life, pretty sick of it.
Yeah, it'd be like hell, like flashbacks.
Yeah,
Sand.
I don't like sand, and then plus the annoying, like it gets stuck everywhere on your body. You can't get it out. Like my mom, we went to the beach when my mom was in town recently, and she texted the other day or whatever. She's like, I still can't get all the sand out of my Jeep. Well, we shouldn't have went to the beach then.
Yeah, I'm taking my new truck down. I'm sure I'll go through the same problem.
Oh yeah. 3 details later, you'll still find sand somewhere.
Yeah, it'll probably cost me about $800 in gas or more.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, for our listeners out there, so you're not just listening to us ramble about our lives, Justin's also in our fantasy football league that Zach and I are part of. And we asked him to come on here and talk a little football with us, being that it's getting closer to football season. I know you're super excited about that, Justin.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
So we are going to try to break down some fantasy and try to get back into our football analysis a little bit and learn the players again and see how everybody's going to be projected and how everybody's performing this year. And we're going to basically week by week break it down by position. This week we chose quarterbacks to kind of lead the way because that's what the quarterback does on the team for the most part. And we're just going to take our top, say 5 and kind of see where they rank for a fantasy quarterback. This isn't necessarily how they rank as an actual quarterback. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I mean, for example, I've got Deshaun Watson on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have Tom Brady on my list.
Yep, I don't have Matt Ryan either.
Yeah, I don't either. But anyway, so and then Zach can just kind of fill us in on his quarterbacks next week when he joins us, and we'll keep up with everybody's kind of list, and we can post it at the end and kind of see how they all rank on the actual rankings or whatever. Just I don't know, for our own amusement because we're in the same fantasy football league, and some of the guys that listen are members of our league, so be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to redeem myself. I know last year I was helping my neighbor, and I got auto drafted Le'Veon Bell, and it just ruined my whole season.
It really did. Your season never had a chance to take off.
Like I lost every game by like 2 points or 1 point, and it was all because I didn't have a running back. It's very frustrating. I will redeem myself this year.
Yeah, you'll be there for the draft and not be tardy.
I've never done that ever. I've been doing fantasy football since you had to write down the scores and like manually track it. I've never done that. It just for once it just slipped my mind. I don't know what happened, but never again.
Oh well, yeah. Here's your redemption, and this is the 5th year I think that we've had this league. you've only been in it since last year, but this league's been in existence for 5 years. It's a combination of a bunch of my friends from there in Johnson City and Marine Corps buddies from all over the US. So it's a pretty eclectic group, of pretty vastly different group. Nobody other than the Marines have won the belt though.
That's changing this year.
Zach's a 2-time champ, and then my buddy John was the champ the year before you joined, and then Colby, another Marine, won this year.
That's going to change.
Yeah, because I'm going to win it this year, and there's going to be a belt hanging up behind my head at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm blocking Harvey first day.
For listeners that don't know, Harvey's the guy in our fantasy football league that wants to make trades all season long. A lot of guys, I'm one of the guys that I'll make a few trades here and there, but for the most part, I like to assemble my roster and let them play. Harvey wants to trade players every week.
Constantly.
So, but he did make it pretty far last season. He was a playoff and he was a contender pretty much all season long. So there is a method to the madness.
I guess. I was just like, bro.
He did better than you and Zach.
Oh, everybody did better than me.
You and Zach pretty much had identical records and luck. He had Fournette and suffered a lot of injuries.
Yeah, and Bale. I won't pick Bale. I don't care what the situation is this year. I will not take him.
I think you said that last season on the podcast that you'll never take him ever again.
Never. Not even if he's a free agent.
Wow. Yeah, well, luckily for next week, I don't think he's going to make my top 5 running backs. So
no.
But let's get into our quarterbacks. Let's start with our number 5s. For number 5, I've got Cam Newton as my number 5 overall for PPR leagues.
Are we doing PPR?
Well, that's what our league is PPR. But in a standard league, I think I still put Cam at 5.
Yeah, I've got Aaron Rodgers.
See, that's a guy that I just can't ever really get behind. I know he puts up good fantasy numbers, and he's projected to put up insane stats this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think that he will. I think he's too much of a prima donna, and if one little thing goes wrong, I think it snowballs on him. I've got him just outside of my top 5 still, though. I've got him at number 6.
Yeah, he's kind of like Cam Newton. Cam Newton, whether he has a good year or bad year, he's still going to put up respectable numbers each week. You never have to really worry about him, either one of those guys throwing a goose egg. But at the same time, it's kind of boom or bust when you're looking for like that big week from a quarterback. And, I feel about the same way for Aaron Rodgers, but he could go out there, with one arm and still give you enough to keep you in any game in fantasy football.
That's true.
It's just consistency.
Yeah, he's always going to post, mid-20s or so.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking for in a quarterback.
And like Cam Newton, he might not throw for like 100 yards, but he could stumble into one running touchdown, and you're right back there where you should be.
Right. You can get away with him only throwing 100, 120 yards if he's going to pick up 40 on the ground with a touch. So,
yeah, all day.
So, yeah, I agree. Those two are almost interchangeable at that position.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have at number 4?
I actually have Cam Newton.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I went with a kind of a shocker, I think, for a lot of people, maybe Baker Mayfield.
I thought I had him. I messed with him, but I didn't put him in there. But I did mess with the idea of that.
I like the offense that they have there in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is still going to suck, but that's not affecting your fantasy quarterback at all. That's putting him on the field quite a bit because they're going to get scored on pretty easily. So
They're gonna have to throw it a lot.
and you're going to have to throw a lot, so that you're going to have to rely on Baker to make plays.
And you got OBJ now.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty big target to have. And you've got Nick Chubb, he can catch out of the backfield. You've got Hunt, when he comes off his suspension, can catch out of the backfield.
Yeah, they're stacked. That's for sure. He's gonna have plenty of weapons, and they also got Landry.
They did get Landry, huh? Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, he's got all the weapons in the world. It's just, and I have another guy in here that I'm going to talk more about this on, but it's a sophomore slump. It's the reason he kind of knocked out of my top 5. I thought he did pretty good last year, but this second year, I don't, they kind of take a step back, and that's the main reason. But, his offense took a step up, so you never know.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. I think he's going to have a breakout year. He had a start of a breakout because he only played the last half of a season.
Mm-hmm.
So he still could be a flash in the pan, but I think he's really going to come out and assert his dominance this year, and he's going to have that breakout season that Patrick Mahomes had last year.
I hope so. I don't hate Baker. I think his antics and all make him part of who he is.
Oh, I agree with that. I do think that we kind of adopted the Browns as a mutual interest last year, a team that we didn't all hate. We could all kind of rally behind because they hadn't won in years at that point. So
you can't hate the Browns.
Got to cheer for them a little bit, and then they just keep getting more and more loaded as the offseason went on.
It's because of this podcast.
That's it. That's what I think. That's the only justifiable explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, I put Deshaun Watson.
I got Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck, he's poised for a breakout season. I had him, floating around right there with my Aaron Rodgers, kind of like a 6B, like barely out of the top 5, but I just ranked him outside. He could be good.
See, Andrew Luck's always toward the top, and he's never finished a season. Like, if he could stay healthy, he would probably easily be the number 1 quarterback in the league. He just hasn't done that yet. And they've really beefed up that offensive line. I think this is going to be his best year to stay healthy.
They had to do that. That's why he's always injured, because they haven't had a line. Hell, look what happened to Peyton Manning when he was there.
Yeah, no, his forehead stopped a lot of his injuries.
Very true.
Andrew Luck don't have that ability.
He doesn't have that luxury. But my pick, Deshaun. I think that the Texans have been moving in the right direction the past few years. I think you even had him in the Super Bowl at one point last year.
Yeah, that's my winners. Yeah.
But Deshaun, like Cam Newton and like some of these other guys, can beat you not only in the air but with his legs. And he's elusive, and I think he's going to be able to slip in for maybe a touch running every other game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge on the fantasy scorecards.
Him and Watkins have a really good relationship too. I mean, they're one of the top duos in the league, really, when it comes to throwing the ball. And Deshaun Watson can throw the ball 80 yards down the field as he's scrambling. I mean, it's insane. The guy's arm is ridiculous.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of like a Michael Vick type quarterback, just a guy that's just insane, that can run and gun better than anybody.
Yeah, he's sick. He's got the talent.
Yeah. Number 2, who do you put up there?
I had D. Watson.
Oh, yeah. Damn. Our lists are actually pretty similar, huh?
Yeah.
Number 2, I got a guy that you absolutely hate, Drew Brees.
He's our rival, yeah. He's consistent. He's a legend, man.
He's consistently putting up, 4,000-yard seasons. He's throwing touchdowns. He's got Michael Thomas down there. That's one of the best receivers in the game right now, probably a top 5 receiver. He's got Alvin Kamara, Tennessee product, that he's got hands out of the backfield. I can't think of who their tight end is off the top of my head, but he does have weapons.
Mm-hmm.
It's been since Marquise Colson since he had a receiver that could go out there and catch pretty much anything he threw.
Yeah, he does. And I think Benjamin Watson was their tight end, but they kind of
He's in New England now.
Yeah, they get a new tight end like every year. Like I
Yeah,
don't think they rely off that.
ever since Jimmy Graham, it's been pretty
Yeah,
like a rotating door, so to say.
they don't really rely on the tight end as much. But the only reason I didn't put Drew Brees in the top 5, and I actually think Matt Ryan will have another MVP type season, not because that's my boy, but because they got the line they had when he was the MVP. They reshored that line and they took 2 in the first round this year. But speaking on Brees, I think his age, he's got to come down eventually. You saw it a little bit last year. I mean, I'd love to see how long him and Tom Brady and all these people can keep going, but they got to eventually, man, just come down a little bit. They can't just stay up there till they're 60.
The ageless wonders, man. It's
crazy.
It is. It's defying all the odds for sure. And you're right. They are due to have some kind of decline. And maybe it's past history that I was going on with Drew Brees that put him at number 2 on my list. But I just think he has too many weapons down there in New Orleans, and he's going to be able to post big numbers often.
Mm-hmm. Possibility for sure.
And of course, the guy that's notorious for posting big numbers every single week, and I'm sure it's our unanimous, Patrick Mahomes is my number 1.
Yeah, I still worry about the whole second year thing. I know he's not a sophomore, but it's technically his sophomore season because
Sure,
second year he's played. But the season he had last year, man, was just something of a. I mean, what God? Whoever had Mahomes, regardless of your team, I guarantee you they made the playoffs.
Yep. The guy that had Mahomes in our league made it to the championship. Didn't win, but made it to the championship.
Yeah, I mean, he was putting up 40s. He put up 50, I think, a few times.
Yeah, he was hanging the big numbers, and I think he's primed to do it again this year.
And I just love watching him play. Like he could be going down and do like a flip it like you would like a baseball behind his back, and then all of a sudden the receiver goes 80 yards. I mean, he made some plays that you wouldn't think was real unless you watched it, unless you saw it yourself. I mean, just some unbelievable plays I've never seen before him.
It was one of those things where everything went right. You know how they say like the ball didn't bounce your way.
Mm-hmm.
The ball bounced his way 90% of the time last year. One of the only real times that it didn't go his way was in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, that's crazy. Let me ask you this. If you had the first pick, do you go away from a running back or receiver? Do you take him with the first pick?
No.
I don't either, but I think a lot of people will.
I could see it. I don't think anyone in our league would. I could see him going maybe 3rd round.
Yeah.
That early, but I think for the most part, everybody's going to be trying to gobble up your wide receivers and running backs.
The week after Gurley and all those guys, yeah.
Gurley, Kamara, freaking Michael Thomas will get snatched up in the probably 1st, 2nd round.
I'm scared of Julio unless they don't. I hope they rewrite his contract like ASAP because I'd hate to take him early and then him sit out. You know what I mean? It'd be another bail situation. That would be scary.
Well, that brings us to a good question. I like to set the draft as close to the start of the regular season as I can. Usually, I set it for the Sunday before the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
I figure football is Sunday's day, so why not make it on a Sunday? We're all getting ready to watch it next week. Might as well get into the groove now. A lot of guys like to have their draft even before preseason or after just only one preseason game or whatever. I think that's way too early.
No, there's no way. There's so many injuries, so many cuts, so many things that happen during preseason, which is why we have a preseason. There's no way. If I took somebody like Todd Gurley and he like played 2 plays in a game and blew out his ACL, dude, no, you can't do that. It's got to be, I agree with you. It's got to be like, I even say like after the last preseason game in that 3 or 4 day gap before the season starts. That way, you know exactly who's going to be rostered up on that first game, and you got no worries about who you're drafting.
Yeah, see that, I mean, we do it about a week in advance, and I think that's fine. You know, most of the time nothing's going to happen in the week leading up to the first game, but you're right, you never know. I think a week gives you enough time to draft, check over your lineup, make sure you're good, gloss over waiver wires, make 52 trades if you're Harvey.
Yeah.
And but no,
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Um Real quick, guys, I just want to let you know that the Nest podcast is brought to you by Wolfpack Raz and Brakes. Wolfpack is our go-to spot for the best online auction for hand signed helmets and authentic sports memorabilia. Wolfpack is veteran owned and it's a proud American company. It only takes one bid to win, and our listeners can get an instant $5 credit by using promo code NEST5. Are you ready to run with the pack? Justin, have you checked out Wolfpack at
Yeah.
all?
I've actually DM, and there's a couple others that I follow. I like watching them open them alive.
Oh, I love watching the live
Yeah.
videos whenever they cut open a helmet. Just the other day I saw him open up the Patrick Mahomes autographed authentic helmet, pulled it out, had a picture of Mahomes signing that exact helmet and all that stuff. It came with the certification seal of approval and all that. You know, it's legit shit.
Yeah, that stuff's dope. I know that Trent's not into it yet. You know, he's boxing all day. That's all he talks about. That's all he watches. All he cares about. And I'm hoping down the road he starts getting into that kind of collectible stuff because there ain't
Yeah.
really no boxing. I mean, you get gloves, but it's not like baseball, basketball, football. You know, the collectability, I guess you would say, isn't out there for what he enjoys. So
Yeah, it's not like you can find a lot of auctions for so and so's boxing gloves or
no,
whatever, you know.
no.
But for our 1 year anniversary show that's coming up in like a month and a half or whatever, Wolfpack sent me some autograph stuff to give out as a gift. We're going to give away some gifts on that show, and
Nice.
they sent this Ian Stewart autographed ball that comes with the autographed card.
Oh, that's
The
cool.
same guy, yeah. So you got some cool stuff coming up.
Nice. Doing it big. Got sponsors now.
You know, just trying to branch out, trying to it's whatever.
I
It's
like
not
it.
Yeah, we're trying to grow, trying to take everybody with us too. Hop on this shit, Justin.
I've been hopped on, man.
Hey, you guys haven't missed an episode yet, have you?
No, not yet. Knock on
Good
wood.
deal, man. You're
It
still plugging along.
it's ironic, like we didn't figure this out till like episode 10, maybe. We're both on vacation this week and we're going to the beach and we're staying like literally right beside each other. Had no idea. So coincidence. And so we're not gonna have to miss another week so we can do it at the beach because we're literally right beside each other.
That's awesome.
It just worked out. We didn't plan it, didn't talk about it before. He was like, "Yeah, I'm going to the beach, da da da," and I was like, "Oh yeah, well, me too." I was like, "Where are you staying?" And kind of one of those conversations. And I was like, "Oh shit, like we're right beside each other."
That's so cool. Awesome. Yeah, I listened to your most recent episode the other day, and I heard that you guys were going to the beach, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. They're planning, you know, that they're doing a podcast at the beach." I just assumed that it was a planned event that you guys had well in advance done all the research, but
100% coincidence.
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
And you're staying that close, like,
yeah, very close. Like
how
I'm
does that work?
talking. Well, see, he can't. He's got like a camper he drives, and we got a house, and our house is literally touching where the campground area starts. So like, I could throw a baseball to where he'd be sitting on the beach. Yeah, it worked out. It's pretty crazy.
That's hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's gonna work out, man. And it's been hard, man. You know, which I know I got to figure out the YouTube thing because
It's really easy. Yeah, I can show you how to do that.
because where we spend like it's hard enough to get time together to record, and you're going through this like today. I'm on here with you because y'all couldn't work out a day this week. It's so hard to get two people that are so busy together, and then I'm going to college now. I'm back in school, so then I'm trying to edit. I'm going working full time. We're traveling for boxing. We're doing basketball, volleyball. Like, I mean, you only got so much time, and I think doing it the way you do it would save me at least an hour a week, 2 hours a week.
Dude, I'm telling you, I don't know how long it's taken you to edit on GarageBand, but that shit usually took me if we talked for an hour, it took me about 40 minutes to chop it down and get it all edited.
It's about where I'm at. About
And
40 minutes to an hour.
yeah, roundabout. The way that we do it now, I have to wait for about 20 or 30 minutes for it to fully upload to YouTube. And then after that, I rip it, drop it into GarageBand with the intro music, put in the outro music wherever we ended at, export it, post it. 5 minutes.
See, that's awesome.
Editing is so easy now that we do it this way.
Let's see, that's what we're learning from. We're just kind of quietly in your footsteps.
Hey, that's fine. No, we've never tried to hide anything from you guys.
I know I'm in the bushes though. Y'all don't see me. I'm just watching.
Nah, I've learned a shit ton from Wallow from the Locker Room Talk podcast.
Yeah,
I'm actually going to be on their podcast tomorrow.
That's cool. He seems like a cool dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. The whole pod squad, man, we're helping everybody out.
Yeah, the pod squad. I saw he made a shirt like the day after I said that. I was like, dang, he's quick.
Yeah, he's quick with all of his graphics and stuff. He's
Pod
awesome
squad.
at it. If you guys ever need any graphic design and stuff, he does stuff like that as like a side gig.
Hey Wallow, I need a shirt for hooking up that phrase. 3X baby. Nah, he's got some nice stuff, man. I like what he does.
Yeah, I've got the Miami Vice looking one that they do.
That's dope. I remember I called that out the first time I saw it when we was recording that day.
That's right. That was the very first day that I ever wore it.
Yeah, I was like, man, that shirt's tight. And you're like, oh, it's his shirt. Yeah, it's nice.
Today I'm rocking the Faction.
I couldn't figure out what it was. What's the Faction?
It's my buddy Jeff Baker, this guy. It's his wrestling group there in East Tennessee.
They fighting in a phone booth?
It's the phone booth from Bill and Ted.
I got you. That's cool.
Yeah. Try to support my boys.
I'm rocking what I rock every day. Tri-Cities boxing shirt.
Hell yeah.
Every day, man. I got on a boxing shirt or Falcons or Vols. People probably don't think I own anything else, but I do. That's just what I wear.
I just wear a rotating batch of t-shirts on the podcast. I don't know. Like we do the YouTube video. So I figure at least, hey, I can, subtle plugs to all of my friends and stuff with the t-shirts that I wear.
Hey, I noticed it. It works.
That's cool. Yeah, you do, but you come on here and we talk, and my picture pops up in your screen while we're engaging in conversation.
That's true.
So it's a little different for the listeners of our podcast.
It's always weird. I feel like I'm looking into another man's eyes talking.
It is a little strange, but you get used to it after a while.
Yeah, and I want to apologize. Last time we got really offhand talking about
sperm banks.
Sperm bank. We could have wrote a book on that conversation.
Dude, Zach still brings it up. Like he was like, "Oh, you're bringing Justin on. Here come the sperm banks."
That's what I'm good for. I tend to like take an uncomfortable topic and run with it.
Dude, speaking of, have you heard of or seen VR porn yet?
Yeah, dude.
That shit's fucking nuts.
That's awesome.
If you don't know what we're talking about, go to pornhub.com, type in VR porn at the top, and follow the instructions. You're welcome.
I was almost able to let my kids hear this episode.
Oh, damn. You'll just have to skip over. You'll just have to skip over, like, be like, okay, let's go until we hear the Wolfpack ad read, and then we'll skip over about 20 minutes, and then we'll get back to something else.
I'm just messing, man. I'm just messing.
Your son's gonna be like, "What the hell is he talking
Dude,
about?"
he hears he's such a he's like a 90-year-old dude inside. He hears so much stuff at that boxing gym.
Oh, I'm sure.
He
I'm sure that those, like, I've been in gyms, jujitsu gyms and stuff, and I know the conversation in there, locker room talk is a
Mhm.
phrase thanks to the president for a reason.
Oh yeah, like there'll be people like getting like arrested in the gym right beside him training, and it don't even bother him. The cops will be in there, and he never even stops hitting the bag. Like it's like nothing to him. It's just an old gym, man. It's just what happens. But
Yeah.
that's a good thing though. He'll grow up. A lot of these millennials, I talk about it often. If something ever goes wrong, they're gonna freak out, panic, not know what to do, and he'll be calm and collective. Ready, steady, ready to go.
I think a lot of them will be freaked out, but I think that there will be ones that were raised by parents that didn't baby them that
Mhm.
will be fine.
Yeah, that's the point. A lot of parents baby their kids nowadays.
It's too much. I mean, I understand babying babies to an extent, but at a certain age or certain time in a child's life, it's like, okay, you understand commands now, so you need to understand that there are consequences for disobeying those commands.
If you don't show them, somebody else will, and
Yep.
it's gonna
Yeah,
mess
I
with them.
agree. I agree. If you just let them run wild, they're gonna run wild, and if you teach them to be scared of everything, they're gonna be scared of everything.
You
They take their cues from their parents, so
Have you ever
don't just
been?
don't just blame the millennials, blame the millennials' parents.
That's true. Have you ever been into a restaurant and seen like a kid going like crazy?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it makes me so mad. And I always tell my kids every time it happens, I'll look back at both of my kids and I'll be like, if y'all ever do something like that, I'm busting your ass. Just so you know.
Well, your kids are old enough now that if they did
Yeah.
that, there's something really wrong, and I think your son
Yeah.
would probably bust your ass.
Yeah. He's got about another 10. I give him about 10 more years. I can still take him.
I don't know, man. I've heard your stories about your bad back.
I ain't care. I got guns. I told him when he gets older, I said, son, when you hit 18, if you come after me, I swear to God, I'll shoot you in the leg. And I'm not kidding about that. I ain't gonna get beat up by my son. Ain't gonna happen. I won't kill him. I'll shoot him in like the foot or something. I'll get him off of me.
That's so funny.
It's funny. I saw that dude comment on your thing that you posted about Trenton.
Oh, yeah, that was on the Sportszilla thread where,
Yeah,
I shared Trenton hitting the bags.
I just liked it. I didn't say
No,
anything.
I know. I saw that. That was classy. But the guy commented, he's like, "I'm sick and tired of these videos of kids just hitting the bag. Put them in the ring and see how they do or whatever." And then immediately I went to your page and got that picture of your son with the belt. And I just posted that, didn't even say anything. I was just like, "Here you go." It was like mic drop.
Yeah. I thought it was funny because I understand what he's talking about. You see a lot of kids hitting mitts, and you're like, "Ah, I can't do shit." You can't tell by that.
Mm.
I understand where he's coming from. That's why I didn't say nothing.
No, I mean, I get it too. It's like, I've got a couple little videos of my son. He's 3, and I can toss a baseball and he'll hit it out of the air. Like, he doesn't need the tee anymore. And I've got a video of him hitting it a couple times in a row. But of course, that video doesn't show all of the misses that it takes to get to
Yeah,
that video.
yeah.
It's selective.
You need to teach him the bat throw so you can make a viral video.
Well, now he's saying that he wants to pitch because he's taken a liking to a couple pitchers. He likes watching them throw the ball hard.
That's good, man. Start him early. Get him on the mound.
You pitched for a while, didn't you?
I pitched for probably 15, 10 years, 10, 12 years.
What was your best pitch?
Uh, just fastball. I wasn't a big junk thrower, man. Like my fastball had a lot of movement on it. So me just throwing fastball change up, I had just as much movement as some people had on their curveball and sliders.
Really?
Just that natural way I threw the ball, I guess.
Was it more of a cut fastball?
Yeah, I mean, like I threw when I was, I think it was my 11-year-old year of Little League. I had a 17 strikeout game. I struck out every batter but one, and that was a pop up. So I had a perfect game.
Nice.
And all I threw was fastball the whole game. I wasn't fast either. I didn't throw the ball fast. They called me change up Cornette because I wasn't fast pitcher. I just had
Oh, okay.
so much movement on the ball, and I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. I still don't
Just
know why.
just all in your release point and stuff.
I
Just
guess I
whatever, however you release the ball and it did the right thing for you. It's like
still don't
those
know why.
knuckleball pitchers, they don't throw hard,
Yeah.
but that ball just dances for them.
And then in high school, I played, and then they begged me to come play my senior year and pitch, but I kind of enjoyed. I had a girl named Mary Jane. I enjoyed her a lot.
Ah, sidetracked another once promising high school career.
I wasn't going to college or nothing. I mean, let's
That-
face it, I could pitch pretty good, but I was still fat and I had to hit it to the fence to get a single. I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean you were on the CC Sabathia Bartolo Colon trajectory.
Yeah,
You
basically.
needed to land in the American League is what you needed.
Oh yeah, I wasn't landing there. Like I said, they don't take high school kids that wear tie-dye t-shirts to ball practice.
Oh, you were like a big
Yeah,
advocate, a big out there advocate of what you were doing.
I like to think I was a hippie. I wasn't. You know what I mean? I wasn't a dirty hippie. I was a clean hippie. Like
A clean.
I'd
You
wear
took
polo
showers.
shirts too. Yeah, I wore polo shirts and dressed nice. But then I'd have the days where I'd wear like Bob Marley shirts and
That's cool.
kind of got along.
Do you listen to the Bob Marley music or do you just wear the tee?
I named my kid Marley.
Oh, that's true, huh?
That's the last day I did anything was the day she was born.
Really?
Yep.
And that's why you named her that, to be a constant reminder?
Yeah, it does. I mean,
Huh.
she's getting ready to turn 13,
Wow.
and so it's been almost 13 years. It's crazy.
That is cool. Well,
Yep.
that's a cool little fun fact about Justin that I didn't know.
I named it. I spelled it Marlee, so people wouldn't necessarily put it together.
Mhm.
But we all know.
Well, and now you just said it on this podcast that obviously is changing the way that the things work. We
Yep.
changed the Browns franchise. So,
Yeah,
and
it's
now
hard
you
to
just put
do.
that out in the universe.
It's all good. And sperm banks have doubled. I don't know if you've heard.
Oh, I haven't been keeping up with that.
Double.
I need to, maybe invest in some stock or something in these sperm banks.
Yeah. In the books, in the high package.
I know condom rates have been going down. I don't know what that's about.
That's called laziness, and college students don't have enough money.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. Like, I'm in college now. I don't know why, but I went back to college. And I have a 98.2 average right now, which is amazing.
You know what's funny? I work with a guy, he's in his 50s and he's retired from the Navy and he recently went back to college too. And he's always posting A's in every class. I think there's something to it whenever you go back as an actual adult instead of an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, I know for me, when I went originally in 18, we would go to class, meet all my friends, and we'd be like, screw this, go drink beer and eat pizza, and we'd leave and go hang out. But now I get my work and I'm like, boom, 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 boom. I make sure to knock it all out in a timely manner. Like I got done with my homework and all my work for this week yesterday. So, I've still got 5 days left and I could have spread it out, but as an adult, we tend to have something to do. We get it done. You know what I mean?
No, that's spot on. That's exactly what I was getting at.
And it's hard, but I notice we have these discussions because it's at home, so it's a online course through King College. But we have these discussions, and I notice like a lot of my stories versus a lot of the kids' stories. A lot of their stories are talking about, them trying to work, need money, and how they broke and all this stuff. and it's weird to be financially set and then go to college. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like when I first went to college, I didn't have any money. Like I'd have to like scrape quarters for a hamburger. And then now I have money, so I feel like I'm more of like a, I don't know, I don't feel like a student. I don't know how to say it. I don't feel like a student. It's really weird.
Dude,
Like
it's simple. It's because you're a fucking adult and you're not a child anymore.
I know, and I try to hide that fact. I hadn't really let nobody know my age, but you could tell based on the discussions that I'm older.
Right, especially if you say anything about kids or work.
Yeah.
Like, I work a full-time job. I have 2 kids. One you said was turning 13.
Yeah.
Come on now, they're gonna put 2 and 2 together on that one. Even
Yeah.
dumb college kids can do that math.
But I noticed too, like they're due by Wednesday, the discussions are. And I'll notice I'm always the first one that posts every time. And then at the end, there's 36 people in our class, and there'll be like only 11 people post. So there's like 20 some people out there, like I was when I first started college, that are messing around and probably struggling in this class, all because they'd rather go have pizza and beer with their buddies, probably.
Yep.
So the cycle never ends.
No, and that's what these education institutions thrive on, are those people. The people like, you and me when we were in college, when we were young and dumb and didn't have to, worry about anything because you still riding mom and dad's dime, even though you don't think you are.
Hmm. That's a big thing too. I've never had to pay for college. And now that I have to take out loans and do all this stuff to go to college, it makes a big difference mentally as far as how you take a class. When I know if I fail, then I wasted $3,000, that would piss me off. Like, I'm a tight ass. That would like literally destroy me. So there's no way I'd fail because I'm a tight ass. If that
No, I
makes sense.
remember you almost had a heart attack when you bought your computer.
Oh yeah. And then I bought that truck right after that. I'm done purchasing for a while.
Phew.
But I haven't worked overtime in about a month, but I worked like 460 some hours of overtime.
Jesus. That's yeah. Every time that we would have you on last season, you would be like, "Oh, I'm just getting off work. I've been working since 5 o'clock this morning." Like,
Yeah,
dude, it's 7 o'clock at night, bro.
every day. I worked 12 hours every single day. And it got to the point where it was funny because I had so much energy, man. My body was like, go, 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 go. And then when I quit working overtime, my body just like gave up. I couldn't hardly even work an 8-hour shift. And then I went to the doctor, and that's when they put me on all that medicine. And she said that I was going so much that my body was producing all the extra stuff that I needed, like for blood sugar or whatever, that my body was like, it was so used to not shutting down that I was kind of producing like an energy drink inside my own body, which is weird. And she said if I did it for, like say a year, I could have just died one day, just been sitting in a bed and just died. But at the time, I was like, man, I got so much energy. Like I feel
You felt
great.
great, yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
scary.
and you hear people all the time that are like, "Yeah, they just dropped dead. They felt great yesterday, and they just dropped dead today." You hear that shit all the time.
Yeah, I'm glad I went and got blood work. As scary as it was an eye opener.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're getting that shit straight. Um, that's an important step. I know one of your resolutions or whatever this year was to be healthier for your kids.
Yeah, I still eat like shit, but at least I got I
We
got
all do.
I got medicine to counteract it now.
Well, we're all gonna die. You're just gonna die in good taste, right?
Yeah, have you heard on our podcast of the new mind warp section that we have?
Yes, that was on your most recent episode where you ask
Just random questions.
challenging questions or whatever.
That we had a question I asked yesterday. I want to ask it to you. First of all, Jimmy asked me, why don't McDonald's have a hot dog? Which you did the same thing I did. You just sit there like you don't know why.
I don't know, because they don't want to offer it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was like, what? But my question to Jimmy was, if you could live 50 years and be happy for all 50 years, or you could live for the rest of your life and not be happy, what would you do?
50 years.
That's what we both said that. But there's a lot of people out there that would choose the eternity.
I don't want
But
to
can you
live forever.
imagine being happy for 50 years straight?
I mean, that'd be awesome. That would mean 50 straight World Series for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
I'll be fair and say every 3 years for the Patriots.
Well, no, they make a new rule, and the Falcons and the Patriots win each year at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you think, and I had in the last episode, he asked if you knew a guy was going to kill somebody, there's a 50-50 chance, and you knew that there was a 50% chance he was going to go murder somebody. Would you put him in jail right now, or would you let him go free?
Free.
See, we both said put him in jail.
For
And
50%?
No. It was yeah, for 50%, we said put him in jail. But then my daughter's the one that told me, she said, but don't we have 50-50 chance to do everything that we, that comes our way?
Your daughter just schooled you, man.
That's what I said. I was like, damn, I didn't even think of it like that. Yeah. Yeah, I said put him away.
Dang. Swift with the axe.
I know. Then after she said that, man, that's the reason I'm asking you now, is I've thought about it for like a week now.
It's been heavy on your mind or whatever?
Yeah, because I was like, I put this dude away, and he might not even done shit.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. It's always in the news and shit like that. Like, so and so gets exonerated after 27 years of serving like a murder stretch or whatever, and he was innocent the whole fucking time.
It's like on that you see that new Netflix show, Now They See Me?
No, I haven't seen it. What's it about?
It's that what you
Okay.
said. It's about basically there's these 4 kids, and they were like 14, 15 and younger, and they were in a park with like a group of people, and then they found a girl that was murdered and raped, and then the cops came, and they all ran away, but the cops caught these 4 people. And then basically, I'm not going to give away the whole story, but they the cops try to separate them from their parents and basically like use tactics to make them tell a non-truth. Like, it's pretty obvious. Like, they're making them admit to stuff that they didn't do just because they're scared or because they threatened something else that ain't really going to happen. You know what I mean? And then these guys basically stay in jail the rest of their lives until down the road somebody came forward and said it was me. And they didn't have any evidence on these kids. They didn't have nothing. All they had was word of mouth, and it was all because the people took kids in a room and scared the shit out of them and made them say stuff to, you know what I mean? Made them say what they wanted them to say.
Forced a confession.
Yeah, you need to watch it. It's really good. It's on. It's a true story too.
What's it called? Now You See Me?
Now They See Me. Yeah.
Now They See Me.
And
I'll
it's
have to look for that.
even Giuliani even apologized as of recent after that came out. Even though he had nothing to do with it back then, he said that, that he was sorry that happened. And because they're called the Chicago 4 or something like that, Chicago 5. It's a true story.
Oh, wow.
It's really good, man.
You talking about Rudy Giuliani?
Yeah.
Okay.
He actually come out and apologized, and he had nothing to do with it. It's just
just kind of apologizing for someone else's fuck up.
Yeah. And it's 4 episodes, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I really like these mini docu-series that seem to be popping up. This one sounds cool. We did a whole episode on Chernobyl. That docu-series was it's really good, man. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I like learning when I watch TV. I've always enjoyed watching documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm kind of a nerd like that.
I'm the same way, dude. I watch them all the time, like video game docs and just random stupid documentary. I watch them constantly.
Yeah, learn something instead of just watching the same mindless, episode of that 70s show or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you can only watch The Office so many times.
Yeah, like 20 or so.
I've seen every episode at least 20 times.
It's a fucking brilliant show.
I saw something today. Somebody posted on Facebook. It said, if you start watching The Office tonight at midnight, you can watch every episode 80 times before January 1st, 2020. It's funny. I was like, no shit. Like, I might do this.
No, dude, you'd have to keep it going on a continuous cycle.
I mean, right now my TV stays on YouTube because I'm used to the kids. Like I literally pass out and there's YouTube just cycling.
Yeah, but what's going to happen between now and January 1st? Motherfucking football season.
Oh yeah, that would suck.
You can't be watching The Office the entire football season.
I'd have it picture in picture.
We're done here. Guys, thanks for
I'm ready, man. I can't wait for football, dude. It seems like when football ends, and I know you all love baseball, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy basketball, but football's that one sport that once it ends, I'm waiting patiently for it to begin again. It's like that gap. In baseball, there's not really like a 2-month gap max.
No, baseball's usually over around Halloween.
Yeah.
That's usually when the World Series is over, the end of October. And then spring training usually starts in February. So a little 3-4 month gap.
Yeah, but basketball's the same way. But football, it just seems like it's such a long gap between seasons.
Well, you're going from February
Mm-hmm.
to what? June, July is whenever the OTAs and mini camps and all that stuff are going on. So you're getting news. That's basically what spring training is. You're getting the news and the updates about your players. And then preseason starts. Hell, they're talking about making preseason 2 games shorter.
They should, yeah.
Zach and I talked about that last week. Do you think they should shorten it by 2 games and keep the season at 16? Or should they make it an 18-game season? There's a question for your mind meld.
I would rather them shorten it by 2 because really in the preseason, the main guys shouldn't even play. It should be about the guys that are trying to make the roster and be done with it. Nobody needs to get hurt over something stupid. And 18-game season, I mean, there's always ends up like an 8-8 tie or like some crazy stipulation as to why one team than the other. If they would make it, it'd be hard to do 2 games because you've got 3 teams in your division that you're playing. So if they could make it like 3 games and you play your division 3 times in the year, so one more time each, I think that would change a ton in as far as the playoffs and stuff goes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm not going to buy that they'll drop 2 preseason to add 3 regular season games to bring you up to a 19-game regular season.
I mean, they're getting paid a ton. I mean, but they're not getting paid.
I could see them
baseball money.
I get your point about not having ties. I do understand that one. And right now, the only thing we have that breaks ties is head-to-head records and stuff like that. So I will concede that maybe going to a 17-game season, not such a bad idea.
That'd be better. I mean, and even if at least get rid of the 4 preseason games, that's a whole month of wasted football. Nobody wants to watch preseason, man. Have you ever sat down and like watched the whole preseason game?
The only time that I've watched an entire preseason game was because I got free tickets to go see the Chargers and the Cardinals play a preseason game at Qualcomm.
And you sat through the whole game?
Yeah, because I was in the luxury box where they brought you food and booze and stuff like that. So I sat there and partied.
Yeah, I could do that for sure. Yeah, but I mean, like on TV, I've never been like, oh man, preseason. Like I'll watch it until the starters go out, and then I'd rather watch The Office. Just coming back to what he's talking about.
Well, and that's why the starters play in preseason is because they know people will tune in to at least see them, and they got to get that ratings bump.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, man. It's something they could do during the season. Like, even give them, add 1 game and give them an extra week of mini camp. That should give them enough time to figure out who should be on the roster and who shouldn't. I don't think, anybody can have a bad game. You could cut like a superstar all because they had a shitty preseason game or like maybe dropped a fumble or just any little thing that happens, they're cut. I just think they weigh too heavily on those preseason games. They're boring as shit. They're not making money off of it. There's got to be a better way.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I do like the chance that those guys have. It's like, hey, now or never, make it or you don't. Not everybody gets a trophy.
Ain't that what practice is for though? That's when you can really break them down and, hey, you're between this guy and this guy. Fuck it, y'all are going one on one.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
get that, but at the same time, players playing against their own teammates, you know their mannerisms, you know things about them that a stranger wouldn't. So seeing them play against another team, somebody that doesn't watch them every day at practice. Like if you've got in basketball, if you've got a hook shot and you beat me with a hook shot every day because I'm your teammate, but then when we're going up to place and I finally learn to block your hook and then we go play somebody else, that guy's not going to know how to block that shot and you're going to torch them. Same thing with football.
I could see it that way, but I could also see, one guy playing on the left side, one guy playing on the right side. The guy on the left side's guarding Julio Jones. The guy on the right side's guarding the tight end. You know what I mean? There's so many stipulations.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even then, like the guy that's guarding the tight end, he's gonna have the scouting report from the guy that's guarding Julio Jones.
Yeah.
So he's at least gonna know, like, okay, he has tendencies to want to do this or that or whatever. On this situation, he has more of a tendency to want to run a fade route instead of coming underneath or running a flag.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like. I guess you can see it both ways, but preseason is just kind of, I don't know. Just like you watch the D League for NBA.
You know, I barely watch the actual NBA.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's the same type shit. Like nobody's watching the D League. Nobody cares.
Nobody really watches minor league baseball either.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit about mine. I mean, you might go for like a hot dog or they got cool ass food. That's one thing baseball has. You can go get the atmosphere regardless if a kid's playing or the best team in the world's playing. You can still go get the cool ass food. You can still go hear the sounds, be in the ballpark. You know that feel you get in the baseball park.
Oh yeah. It's just the only difference is going to an actual big league game. There is that little special feeling when you walk in and it's that perfectly manicured grass and the huge stadium filled with people. Well, unless you're a Tampa Bay Devil Rays or Tampa Bay Rays fan, they can't fucking pack the house to save their lives.
Isn't that crazy? I'm like, I wonder how long those teams will stick around.
Well, funny you say that. You haven't heard that Tampa has, I guess, nixed on building a new stadium, and the Rays have been given permission from MLB to explore options to dual host a team. So they'll spend half of their games in Tampa and half of their games in Montreal.
They're trying to get Canada on board.
Uh, Montreal wants a team. They haven't had a team since the Expos.
Yeah.
That's now the Washington Nationals.
I guess that's one way to get money, but that's pretty sad if you can't get your own state to come together for a team, then that sounds like that's more on the owners than the team itself.
I wrote a blog last year and it kind of got a little bit of recognition, and I did a radio interview and all that stuff about relocating the Rays to Jacksonville. I made a big pitch and a big push to try to get them to come here. A lot of it basically involved me spending other people's money, but I'm sure that's why it didn't really ever come to fruition. But I tried to make some sort of wave about it.
Would you become a Rays fan?
I don't know. I would definitely go to a lot more games. I could see us going to the Rays versus the Braves, the Rays versus the Rockies, the Rays versus Yankees when they come to town. Just to see other players when they're here playing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Go watch the Angels play, see Mike Trout, Shohei.
It's like that dude that catches the foul balls.
Yeah.
Did you ever look him up?
I did, man. That dude's insane.
I told you, man. That's all he does.
I wish I could do that. That'd be awesome, but
You could if they moved to Jacksonville.
it would be a whole hell of a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, you go out there during warm ups, catch some balls.
Well, seeing the good thing about stuff like that is, like, from being a season ticket holder and stuff, whenever they are, just opening up shop, like, this is the first time they would be in this town, so they would have all kinds of special deals and discounts to try to attract people to be season ticket holders.
Yeah,
Dude, I would jump on that shit, and I would be at the majority of the games, I would say. If I was off work and didn't have anything else planned, we'd probably be at the game.
yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. And I would. I think maybe in the 3 or 4 years I had my Falcons tickets, even driving 4 hours, I might have missed 2 games, 2 home games. Once I had the flu, and the other time we were already out, and I had my wife's boss was a huge Eagles fan, so he's dying to go to the game, and so I gave him the tickets just kind of as a suck up, like ass
Mm.
kissing for my wife. But yeah, I mean, and that's me driving 8 hours in one day, 4 there, 4 back. So yeah, if I lived in Atlanta, there ain't no way I would never, ever, ever miss a game unless something seriously was wrong. Baseball, there's like they all play 200 games.
Yeah,
It's a little
yeah, they play a few more than what the NFL plays.
That's a little
And,
bit harder than 8 games a year at home.
you only get, 8 at home. We get 81 at home. Well, the Red Sox get 79 this year,
That's a
home
little
games.
that's a little different.
Isn't that bullshit? Like, do you think that's bullshit whenever a team plays overseas, like in the NFL, they play in London, and now baseball is expanding to England? Do you think it's bullshit that the one of the teams have to sacrifice a home game?
No. I mean, you gotta get it out there somewhere, and if it happens then this year, it's gonna happen to somebody else next year, that's really the only way around it.
Well, here's my gripe. I understand that for football, like, okay, yeah, you just suck it up for the year. The Red Sox and the Yankees are playing 2 games in London.
Mhm.
Both home games are charged to the Red Sox.
Now that don't make sense.
Why couldn't they have split that shit 1 and 1?
That's what should have happened.
Um, and next year they've already got it queued up for the Cubs and the Cardinals to play in London. So I wonder if they'll change that for next year. I hope that's something that this is just like, oh, we fucked up, we didn't know, or we didn't realize that issue. Because I mean, why charge one team for both of them?
Yeah, that don't seem right. Let me ask you this. What would you think a baseball season would be like if they only played 16 games?
It'd be quick.
Like, like if they only played like once a week, dude, every week you had your ace pitcher. Every week, everybody's healthy, dude. Every game would be so freaking important that I'd watch every game. I'd be the biggest baseball fan ever. And I think that's the reason I still love baseball. I grew up playing it since I was like 3 or 4 years old. But so many games, man, I just can't keep up.
Try not to look at it in terms of games and look at it in terms of series. Like when you're a kid, you don't play that many games. You play a team once, twice, maybe, if like in a season.
Yeah.
And then when you get in high school, sometimes you'll play the same team 2 times in a row.
You play double hitters. So,
Yeah, you'll play double headers a lot and stuff like that. So you play them 2 times in a row. So it's like a little series. Oh, we won one, we lost one. Hey, we swept the series or whatever, you know? So in terms of baseball, they always play in series. Sometimes it's a 2-game set, like we're playing against the Yankees in London. Sometimes it's a 3-game, that's the regular, and sometimes it's a 4-game set. Win 2 out of 3. And that way,
much.
it is, but it isn't. It's really easy to keep up with it because it's just a glance. Once you understand how to read the numbers, it's just a glance. You can come in at a game at the 7th inning, look up, check the scoreboard, check the count. You're right, caught up. You know what happened.
Yeah.
And then every time the batter comes up to bat, it shows his stats, what he's done for the game, what he's done for the season. You just have to know how to read the numbers.
That makes sense. I mean, I'll try to look at it that way. I don't know how the players like. I don't know. I just think it'd be so exciting, man, if it was just a handful of games, like even like 30. Like every loss would be so impactful. You know what I mean?
I
Like
do,
you can
but
lose now and you'd be like, ah, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? On to the next one.
I see your point of it being, more significant, and I maybe shorten the season by 40 games, make it 120 games instead of 160.
Yeah, that's
Fine,
better.
fine, whatever. Um, but baseball it's a game of series. I mean, a guy that gets out, that fails to get a hit on 7 out of 10 hit at bats is still a good hitter because he's batting 300.
Mm-hmm.
That means 3 out of 10 he's getting on base. That's a 300 hitter. That's Hall of Fame.
It's crazy when you think of it like that.
So if you cut that, think of how many at bats you have to get over the course of a season to be able to hit 300. You got to have like 600 at bats. So they're grinding. But it's for a reason.
Yeah, I mean that when you think of it like that, I mean it's wild. Like you think 3 hits out of 10 sucks, but it don't.
Not at all. If you're on base 30% of the time, then you're doing what you're supposed to do.
I've got a baseball stat that you might not know about. Have you ever heard of Eddie Goodell?
Nope.
He was a midget, right? He was like 3'11", something. He was a midget, and he was one of the only players to ever bat 1,000 in Major League Baseball because he always walked. They never could strike him out because his strike zone was so small. And then they later made a rule. This was in let's see, I got August 1951. So this was like the early 50s. And then basically he got on base every time he went up. So the team would walk him, and then they'd put in a pitch runner for him, and then they would run for him. So the guy basically got to play on a major league team, get walked, and then go sit down, right? And then they made the rule that I don't know exactly the rule. You'll have to look it up. And I heard about it not too long ago, but then they made the rule that not that a midget can't play baseball. I mean, you obviously can't do that, but I think that's when the American League versus National League came about. You know how the pitchers have to hit, or they changed the pitch running rule. They changed something along that time so that teams couldn't do this with the midget.
Hmm.
But look him
Yeah,
up,
that's
Eddie
something I'll
Goodell.
have to look up. Yeah.
It's Gaedel, which is kind of spelled weird. But he was the smallest player to ever appear in Major League Baseball.
That sounds like it's probably an easier Google search.
Yeah, he's 3'7".
That's tiny.
Yeah,
Well, man, we've been on this podcast for a long time now. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. We've been on here for like an hour and a half, I think.
that's crazy.
Yeah, just been talking shit.
Just talking.
Anyway, thanks to our sponsors, Sportszilla and Wolfpack Razz and Brakes. Those guys are awesome. We've got a lot of cool shit coming on. We've got our 1-year anniversary show coming up, like I mentioned earlier. On that show, we're going to be giving away a bunch of gifts. I mentioned the baseball that I had earlier. We also have t-shirts. We have these awesome little pop sockets.
Yeah, those are dope. I like those.
Yeah, I'll send you one, Justin.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, they're cool. I've got one on my phone. It serves as like a little kickstand, so you can kind of stand your phone up and you can watch your YouTube videos and stuff like that while your phone's just kind of chilling out there. It's awesome. But we got all that coming up, and Zach and I are actually going to be back on here recording a special podcast on Tuesday. That's when he'll be back from his trip, and we're going to cover the Red Sox Yankees London series in detail on that episode. So we didn't really get into much baseball here, but we'll cover it there. And then we'll be back at our regular scheduled podcast time next week. Thanks for listening, guys. Go check out Justin's podcast, Into the Woods, and see ya.